controversial.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll see, controversial or not. Anyway, it's really a pleasure to introduce you to our wonderful panelists. So I'm happy to invite here Nicole Purin, CEO of Nigna Doda Films and legal counsel for Mia at Standard Chartered. Nicole, please take your seat. The next panelist today is Thibaut Berbiet, chairman at Your Foundation and partner at Meta Law. And the last, Baiba Broka, governing council member at UNIDRA, former Minister of Justice of Latvia and former drafting working group member at cryptocurrency regulations for Ministry of Finance of Latvia. So NFTs are not intellectual property. How come? How come? Whoever wants to start. I really want to I guess I'll make.
So maybe I can maybe get started. Well, first of all, I'm really delighted to be here with such esteemed panelists, and I think we all have, different experiences. I mean, I'm clearly more of a finance lawyer, and some of my other colleagues are, perhaps more kind of the litigation front, enforcement front, as well as clearly also having fantastic regulatory and governmental policy experience. So looking at this sector, clearly, which is very, very much an upcoming sector, my understanding of it is that there is very scarce regulation, and it is a, clearly very evolving sector at the moment, and therefore, let's say, the wider system is trying to probably catch up, with this upcoming technology. So my understanding is that overall, the wider view is that non-fungible tokens are not intellectual property, just because of the way that they are structured, and the fact that if there is an underlying asset at the back of the NFT, there would be a copyright, holder that has rights over that, particular image, if we're talking about, art, for example. So the question is, when you actually, enter into a transaction, an NFT transaction between a buyer and a seller, I mean, what is it that you are selling, and what rights is it that are then transferred across to the actual seller? Does it amount to a license? Can you claim that it is ownership? So my point of view is that we're still in a kind of gray realm, and there might be different nuances. Sometimes perhaps we can claim that the intellectual property is there, at other times not, depending on the actual underlying asset. So I'd be interested in hearing also what my esteemed colleagues think about this.
Yes, thank you, Nicole, for like a brief introduction in your point of view, how you see it. And yes, if we legally, from doctrinal point of view, look at the NFT today, we would say, yes, it's not defined, it's not intellectual property. But what we do realize that it symbolizes, it gives information that there is something behind this NFT. Because if you look only at this mathematical, combination of the digits, of course, it's quite difficult for today's perspective to see that this itself is already intellectual property. But what it symbolizes, that underlying behind there is something valuable. And that's, again, so it should be, we have to look at as a set, there is this NFT, the combination of digits, let's put it like in a simplified way. And there is an asset also which really has this value, so is it a trademark, is it a patent, is it a painting, is it an audiovisual work, We can look also today. If we look of the practical application where the NFTs are working, actually, we see from the very famous like Louis Vuitton and whatever, they try to also come up with the NFTs to defend their trademark. And we looked at IBM came up with a blockchain for tracing patents. So there is a future already. We have a great potential there. And it will be very much linked to the traditional understanding of the copyrights and intellectual property.
But you actually highlighted a very interesting concept, in my opinion, to which extent actually should you base the new regulation for NFTs on the traditional assets regulations. So Thibault, maybe you could share your insights on this. How should we actually proceed from the industry in order to create these global standards for NFTs? Which factors should we use, and which should be the basis for this new framework?
Yeah, I would like maybe to provide some clarity about the law as it stands today. And, you know, copyright law is a very flexible law. And especially since 20 years ago, the regulators in Europe and in the United States modernized the current text on copyright to address the so-called information society, digital age. So there is no question whether IP law applies or not to digital content, I would say, whether it is NFT or not NFT. This is the first point. It's not because it seems to be new and super hype that suddenly IP laws don't apply. No. And the second question is, okay, but to what content does it apply? It's a fact that an NFT is just a token. It's a token which is defined by a standard. And that token is like a Bitcoin or you know, an Ethereum token. It's just that is defined by another format.
And it's unique because the difference is that it's non-fungible.
It's unique.
But also different, right? Like, I mean, it can be a token, but it can be a digital art that is all unique.
Like a collectible item, like a ticket.
Let me finish my explanation.
Bit of heat here. We're getting heated up.
This is what happens when a man is
you know, guys,
encircled by women.
Please be with me. I am the only man here. Please, a little bit of solidarity here. Yeah. You know how hard this job is? And so the fact that there is fungibility or non-fungibility doesn't define the application of IP law or not. It has nothing to do. What matters is there somewhere a copyrighted content? The fungibility or non-fungibility of a cryptographic address is not copyrightable, right? It's not copyrightable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is just number. You don't copyright a number, right? Are you following me? So there is no copyright applicable to the NFT as a token. No, if, and I say if because it's not always the case, there is a copyrightable content attached to the NFT, like a video, like a GIF, like a text, a painting, a photograph, anything which is digital, copyrighted digital content, then the question is, of course, the application of IP law to that content. What's important also to specify is that the content attached to the NFT is always stored somewhere, right? And people who buy NFT do not understand this. You buy an NFT which is on blockchain, cool, but where is the content attached to it? Is it stored on Amazon? Is it stored? Amazon, strange, because it's a blockchain. Yes, but it must be stored somewhere. It's not on the blockchain. Or is it stored in the decentralized way? For instance, on IPFS, Filecoin. That's the questions you must also ask. Because at the end, what do you buy? But let's continue the reasoning. Is that, okay, I am buying an NFT attached to a copyrightable digital content. What kind of rights do I have on the content? By default, under European law at least, by default, you as a buyer, you only acquire a non-exclusive, by default, even if it's not written, by default, a non-exclusive license to use it just on your smartphone for non-commercial purpose, or maybe to display it in your living room on a screen. That's all you acquire. If you want to buy more than this, then, and that's the real debate, then a contract, a licensing contract must be agreed. And that licensing contract is either off-chain or on-chain. off-chain. It could be on the NFT platform, terms and conditions. Yeah, you click, and that's the rights you acquire. Or it's, of course, on a smart contract.
Who should be the parties of this contract? Who should be the parties of this contract?
Who are?
Who are the actors of this contract?
Okay, the parties are, of course, the buyer, one, and on one hand, and on the other hand, either the platform or the artist. That depends how the platform is designed. There are certain platforms that mint for the artist the NFTs. That's between the platform and the buyer. Others are purely decentralized, YouTube-style platform, when you say you upload your content, and that's between the artist and the buyers.
So what happens if we have a physical asset with a token, NFT, attached to this asset? We buy rights for the asset, and then we want to transfer NFT. So what happens in this case?
Okay, then you have two questions. That's
Me too. Great.
Sorry, I'm a lawyer, so I'm trying to,
Yes, please.
have a structural reasoning here. Otherwise, you won't listen to shit. So, me neither. And so, when you buy an NFT attached to a physical good, that's your question, right? And either the NFT is just an authenticity proof of ownership of the physical good. It's all it is. Okay? It's just that I prove with the NFT that I am the owner of that physical good. Okay? Or you can have a situation where the NFTs is the reproduction. Oh, no. The NFT is attached to the reproduction of the physical good. Okay? I have a sneaker because I know there is someone here sending sneakers somewhere. Don't know if you are here. Yeah. And maybe you can explain what you do.
We don't have time, Tibor.
Oh, we don't have time.
2 minutes, and you're already occupying the floor. Ladies,
would be so cool.
Which light do you see in the end of this tunnel?
No, I just want to compliment also that, which is a latest trend also, if you are buying, as I mentioned, like luxury goods, like Louis Vuitton, for example, they also started in order, to consumer, when he buys the purse, you have this NFT. Actually, you can always verify that you are really owner, that it's not counterfeit goods, and this becoming also like a trend that somehow to protect their brand and market.
Yeah, because ultimately the strength, the value of these NFTs is to do with their uniqueness, and humans want unique things, and that's why clearly, this market now is also taking off. It's just because that once you have it, it will really be specific to you. It will have that level of uniqueness. But going back to what Tibor was saying, I have to say I agree with his legal analysis. And, clearly there are so many different permutations. What is interesting, I think, is ultimately is the enforcement of, in the event of disputes, because that's where the issues are, and that's where a lot of the complexity of the legal analysis and the classifications of these assets would fall into place. So I'm not sure if, in practical terms, we've already had disputes that have reached the courts in any of the jurisdictions internationally. If there's already been any reasonings behind this. I mean, I don't know if you maybe have experience or are aware of this.
I was just reading lately, it was within some of the professional athletes in NBA, because they start also reproducing NFTs, and it was like, not like really directly related to copyrights, or it's more about privacy. Because usually clubs, the managers, they try to come up with NFTs and sell, and then at the end, the athlete is asking, where is my interest? Where is my privacy protected? This is a little bit like, and also, as we see, the dimension which could come up with some legal challenges are quite robust, we can say from different angles, and I fully agree that from my perspective, if you look from traditional copyright or IP laws, it's nothing new, actually. We are trying to make this balloon bigger. It is usually, actually it is, So we have Berne Convention more than 100 years old, and they still apply. It's still, you know, so it's only because of new technical means we are right now using to explore these, like copyrights, trademarks, or whatever. But it's difficult, yes, enforcement and remedies in a case of disputes. This would be like a new challenge.
This will be the new
how
challenge.
to regulate this one.
Absolutely, absolutely. But,
Well, thank you very much. Honestly, it's even more passionate and interesting than I thought, and even more complicated than I thought. Well, the long path is in front of us. Is there any question in the audience? And actually check this fascinating story of Snickers later at the coffee break, because it's worth it. Okay, Gustavo, one question, and then we'll move to the next panel. Microphone or torch.
Hello. As you know, I'm heavily involved in NFTs, high-end art, Picasso's, Leonardo's, and things like that. I'd like to know from you, what's a process you will follow to identify the veracity of a painting or a sculpture when it is brought to a platform? Because we all know that it's full of false art in this world. So what will be your best advice for everybody here involved in a potential transaction in a platform when it comes to veracity of an asset?
Maybe I can try to answer. You know, there is nothing new in that question. Absolutely nothing new. Every auction platform has been facing the same kind of authenticity issues. A blockchain will not solve it. So if you put something fake or false on the blockchain, it's going to be fake forever. So, you know, and when you look at the business model of the NFT platforms, and most of them say, this is your responsibility, you as the minter of the NFT, to make sure that you are not violating any property laws or copyright laws, and that you are the legitimate owner, at least of the intellectual property, if not of the item itself. And one day those platforms will be sued, no doubt. And so the best practices are obvious, that you need to have a curation mechanism. And that the question is, how do you build your curation mechanism? And at the end of the day, you will do like the other auction platforms. You will use experts, sometimes bailiffs, to authenticate some content. You will use electronic signature to authenticate the owner. It's nothing new under the sun, really.
Yeah, I would also comment. I think it very much depends on a platform. If you want to have your users, and first of all, you know, you have to build trust to your users, and it will be only depending on the platform managers. How, you know, if we go like to some DeFi project like payments, what we are doing, nobody is asking today legally to have like KYC or whatever, but we do. Why? Because we want to build a trust. And it will be the same for NFTs. If I want to build a trust and I want that your users know what they are buying, what is NFT really presenting, you will make a system before you let mint, you know, or go live. You will have like experts or whatever, some kind of documentation which you will require that you can be, how to say, that you are sure that these NFTs on your platform are really like legit.
Thank you very much. I think we've just got to move on.
Yes, thank you very much, Dave. Thank you very much for your insights. We can move forward with this discussion later in the day. And thank you very much, everyone. And thank you very much for the organizers for bringing this important topic to our agenda. Thank you so much. A photo, please.
You want the photo?
Thank you.